Have you ever just stopped and looked at, I don't know, a can of soda or your phone and just wondered, why does this cost what it costs? Prices are literally everywhere, but where do they actually come from? Well, we're going to dive right into that because the answer is this amazing, hidden economic dance that's happening all around us every single day.
So let's just pick one thing, your favorite energy drink. Why is it $2 and not $1 or $5? Did the company just, pull that number out of a hat? The short answer? Absolutely not. That price is a signal, a really specific one, and we're about to learn how to read it.
You see, that price is actually the big finale of a dance between two very different partners. On one side of the dance floor, you've got us, the buyers, and on the other, you've got the companies, the sellers. And it's the constant push and pull between these two that sets the price for, well, pretty much everything. So let's meet the first answer.
This is our side of the story, the demand side. It's all about our choices, what we want, and crucially, what we are willing and able to pay for it.
Now, as buyers, our behavior follows a really predictable rule. It's called the law of demand. And all it says is, when things are cheaper, we want more of them. And when they get more expensive, we want less. Now, there's a key phrase here that economists love, holding all else equal. They even have a fancy Latin name for it, ceteris paribus. It's a super important little detail we're going to keep coming back to.
And honestly, this is something we all do without even thinking. It just makes sense, right? If your go-to energy drink is on sale, you might grab a whole case instead of just one. But if the price suddenly doubles, you might start thinking that a regular old cup of coffee looks like a pretty good alternative. That's just the law of demand playing out in real life.
But, of course, price isn't the only thing that matters. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that can make us want to buy more or less of something, even if the price doesn't change one bit. Things like how much money we're making, the price of other stuff, or even just if something suddenly becomes trendy.
Let's just take your income, for example. For most things, what economists call normal goods, if you get a raise, you buy more of them. You might start going out to eat more often. But for other things, called inferior goods, the exact opposite happens. When you get that raise, you probably buy less instant ramen, because now you can afford something else. See how that works?
Okay, you're going to want to pay close attention right here because this trips up a lot of people. When the price of the energy drink itself changes, we just move up or down along the demand curve we already have. That's a simple change in quantity demanded. But when one of those other factors changes, like you get that pay raise, the entire curve moves. That's a change in demand. The wording is super similar, I know, but it describes a totally different thing happening in the market.
So that's our side of the story, the buyer side. But you can't dance alone, right? So let's head over to the other side of the floor and meet the sellers. This is all about what companies are willing and able to bring to the market.
And sellers? Well, they have their own basic rule, the law of supply. And it's pretty much the mirror image of the law of demand. The higher the price they can get for their product, the more of it they're going to want to make and sell. And why not? It's way more profitable, so they fire up the machines. Makes perfect sense. And just like with us buyers, there are things other than the current price that can change a company's mind. The cost of their raw materials, a new piece of technology that makes things faster, more companies jumping into the game, all of these can shift the entire supply curve.
Let's make this real. Imagine you own the energy drink company, and boom, the price of caffeine, a key ingredient, just skyrockets. All of a sudden, at every single price you could sell a can for, you're making less profit. So you're not as excited to produce them, and you supply less. The whole supply curve shifts inward to the left.
All right, so we've got our two dance partners. We have the buyers, who always want lower prices, and we have the sellers, who always want higher prices. How on earth do they agree on anything? Well, this is where the magic happens. They find something called market equilibrium. This is the one special price where the number of energy drinks people want to buy is exactly the same as the number of energy drinks companies want to sell. It's the perfect balance. It's the sweet spot where everybody's happy. And for our energy drink example, that magic number is $2. At $2 a can, shoppers want to buy 80 million cans, and companies want to sell exactly 80 million cans. Perfect. Everybody wants to buy one at that price can find one, and every company that wants to sell one at that price finds a buyer. Beautiful. Okay, now here's where it gets really, really cool. What happens when the price isn't at that sweet spot? Well, if the price is too high, say $3, you get a surplus. Cans just sit on the shelves unsold, which forces sellers to drop the price.
But if the price is too low, like 50 cents, you get a shortage. The shelves are empty. People are desperate for a can, which lets sellers start raising the price. The market has this amazing natural way of pushing itself right back to that $2 equilibrium.
So this equilibrium price, it's not set in stone. The world is always changing, so the market is always moving. And the real power of this whole supply and demand model is that it lets us predict how prices and the amount of stuff sold will change when something new happens.
Let's run a quick scenario. Imagine a new study comes out and it proves that energy drinks make you way more productive at work. What happens? Well, suddenly everybody wants one. Demand just explodes. The whole demand curve shifts way out to the right. And the result? The new equilibrium price is going to be higher, and the total number of cans sold will be higher too. Simple cause and effect. Now, I know this table looks a little intense, but think of it as a cheat sheet for predicting the future. Let's just look at one box. See where demand increases meets supply decreases. The model tells us that the price will for sure go up, but the total quantity sold? That's a big question mark. We don't know. It could go up, down, or stay the same because it all depends on how big those shifts were. It's an incredibly powerful way to think through these changes.
So, what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just some theory from a textbook. It's a lens. It's a whole new way to see the economic story happening all around you.
And here's the bottom line. In a competitive market, no one person, no one company, no government official gets to dictate the price. It just emerges. It comes from the millions of individual choices that buyers and sellers make every single day. It's this powerful, decentralized way of organizing our world.
Once you really understand this dance of supply and demand, you start seeing it everywhere. The price of gas, the cost of a concert ticket, the salary for your job. They're all telling a story about what we value and how scarce things are. So the only question left is, now that you know the steps to the dance, what stories will you see?